Yes, thank you very much, and it's a privilege to be on the call this morning to share it with Dr. Anna and the great leaders in a fantastic session there by Avinash. Very, very important mindset. And ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anna was going to talk about the results that are available in your back office, and that's a very important component for our passive members. Passive in this industry, where people are expecting daily profits. That's not what we've got here. We've got real live trading, and it has the emotional roller coaster of the ups and the downs in the market. And that's why it's very important, I believe, to probably try and focus on your income from the building the crowd side. If you can rely your lifestyle coming from the crowd side, then you can leave the wealth creation to come from the contribution side in the Daisy Fund. So that's the way I'm positioning it, even though the passive side is amazing. And we've had some examples of that already since Dr. Anna has started trading in the Daisy Crowd Fund. Now, just before we get there, it's important for our new members to understand what they might be doing in the next few days before we soft launch this. There is a €100 contribution. 50% goes to the trading account, 50% of course goes to the marketing side in the crowd. And maybe you're one of those $100 contributors. But if you can, in the meantime, put together the funds in Tron, ready for launch into either the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, right up to tier 7. If you can make that move right now, this is the timing you've been afforded to do that. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Because it's 50-50. 50 goes to the Betted Trade account and the other 50 goes to the crowd side. The little black line on the screen, that's for the higher achievers. And that's down to you. If you can go tier 8, 9, and 10, then these contributions move at 70% to the trading side, and 30%, of course, goes to the crowd. You can also see the share allocation, the equity allocation that you're going to get when this goes to the marketplace. So with her best intentions, with the right market conditions, it's Endotech's, I suppose, desire to take this to the market. And if those conditions are correct, we're looking at sometime probably towards the end of next year, but that will be dependent on the conditions. Of course, the equity is also a very important wealth creation. Not just the trading, but the wealth creation provided, like Avinash talked about there, being an early adopter, an early pioneer in the likes of a Google or in the likes of an Amazon. Here, every $100 contribution gives you and your family one piece, one share in 5% of the equity. The other 5% in the equity is reserved for the pay setters, and that's what I'm talking about in a moment. Now, what I've done is I've actually captured the early trading rewards from tier 10 contributors. And you can see it's date stamped here, like back just 3 or 4 days ago. The amount for withdrawal here was $1,800 passively from the trading. So whilst you're waiting for the launch, Dr. Anna's not waiting. Dr. Anna's team's not waiting. The scientists, the software, the robots, the machines, the technology, the experience of 20 years is going in to those funds to do their best possible job. But please remember the ups and the downs. Don't watch this every day. It will play that emotional roller coaster in your head, and that's not good. Even without Daisy, if you look at the price of Bitcoin, when it hits 40,000, it drops to 37,000, it goes to 38,000. You're playing a mind game. It's up and it's down. That's the same for trading. So just play the long-term game on this. Now, that was very good for the 14th of February. And on the 15th of February, that passive rewards, let's call it passive trading rewards, from the Daisy Crowd Fund had grown over $700 overnight. And then the next day, it had grown up to $4,500 overnight. For a passive contributor, a tier 10 contributor got these rewards. And that's why you might think in this time, this waiting time, is you develop as much as you can for that contribution. If you're tier 4, please try and upgrade tier 5. If you're tier 7, do your best to upgrade to tier 8. And of course, if you can go tier 9, do your best to upgrade to tier 10. Now, Once you do tier 10, you will notice in your web back office, you'll be able to see that there's now that VIP opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, when you think about this, this gives you the ability to get the benefit from institutional trading. You see, normally you would probably need somewhere in the region of $1 million to enter that marketplace. It's reserved for the rich. It's reserved for the elites. It's reserved for the banking industry. It's reserved for the institutions. That's who gets to participate in those markets. But here, you and I, ordinary families around the world, can change their circumstances based on their contribution. And even if it's only $100 or $200 or $400, over time you can upgrade. And hopefully at that point, the VIP opportunity is still available. It may not always be available. But right now, tier 10 contributors can go VIP. What does that mean? It means, ladies and gentlemen, that Dr. Anna Becker will integrate through an API, a little piece of technology, will go straight to your Binance or to your, for instance, your Gemini exchange, and she will trade there directly 100% of your funds. And that's an amazing opportunity in itself. So really what I want to talk about in this session is, number one, try and upgrade your tier if possible. But number two, let's focus on the Pacesetter bonuses. There are three parts to the Pacesetter. The first part is this: depending on how you qualify in your first 30 days, the software will pick up that position. I'll give you an example. Let's say after 30 days, you had made 3 personal referrals, just 3, and the contributions from 3 or more was $1,000. The software would recognize that, and it would open up the commissions available on the 4th generation of your matrix. It's very simple. By the same token, after 30 days, if you have, say, 21 referrals made, and the total contribution of those 21 referrals was $64,000, the software would automatically open the 10th generation, meaning you had the ability to receive 4% of 59,049 contributions from somewhere in the world. That's what it does. It opens up the commissions available on the next generation. Whatever you do in 30 days, you are setting the pace for your business. So that's very, very important. Now, the next part of the Pacesetter bonus is this. It's for the high achievers. And every single one of you can be a high achiever. Being a high achiever is nothing more than a decision. I'm going gold Pacesetter. I'm going leadership Pacesetter. It's simply a decision, because the mechanics and the mathematics are the same for everyone. For Avanish, for Ilya, for Jeremy, for everybody, Edward, everybody in the community, the mathematics is the same. 24 directs, not 23, not 12, 24 or more directs with a total contribution of $128,000 in tier contributions. That qualifies you for the gold Pacesetter, and you must do it in your first 30 days. Now, that's what Avanish was talking about. You have a period of time now to prepare that team, to prepare those contacts. And you should be working every day, and possibly every spare hour of every day, to achieve that. And that's what a lot of the early adopters did when we pre-launched the system. The people that achieved that, they weren't lucky. People will say the story, you were lucky. You did that because you were in first. No. Everybody on this call is in first. Everybody listening to this recording is in first. In fact, everybody this year, 2021, is in first. It's not anything to do with when you join. It's all to do with what you do when you join. Okay, so it's not when you join, it's what you do when you join. And if you're hearing this right now and you're going to make a decision to get started, fantastic. You can do this. If you've been in for this last 3 weeks and you haven't taken the action to achieve this, you have plenty of time, even before we launch this and through those first 30 days, to achieve this. And if you do this 24 personal directs alongside $128,000 of contribution, you share in what I call the global spillover. Spillover, ladies and gentlemen, is a myth. Spillover is something that you should achieve. But if you want to achieve what I call global spillover from every contribution on the planet, imagine this. Imagine getting Amazon stock in 1994. And imagine getting a share of every order that every Amazon customer made since then. Because that's the opportunity. Pacesetter gives you a slice, gives your family a piece of every contribution worldwide. Upline, downline, sideline, crossline, doesn't matter who. Every single contribution hits your wallet. Because the software, and one of the reasons for the delay was the software, the calculation of this very exciting bonus was timing out. It had to run through all the data. It had to check every qualifier. It had to take every contribution and assign 1.8% of that contribution to the qualifiers. And now that's been corrected, and now that's going to test as we go to roll this up again. Now, for these pacesetters, these what we call the gold pacesetters, you just don't get that bonus, which is amazing. You also share in the other 5% of equities given by Endotech. So 5% is given to everybody that contributes. The other 5%, ladies and gentlemen, that's reserved for the gold pacesetters. In addition to that, can you imagine on every withdrawal from the Endotech side, from the Daisy Fund, that generates another commission for you and your family. And that's an equal share in 1.25% of the withdrawals. It's amazing. The next part of the pacesetter is what we call our leadership bonus. And that's quite simple as well. Whether or not you achieve what I've just said, provided you can refer 3 people out of your entire community, 3 people that you've personally introduced, if they go ahead and do it, then you jump into this bonus. So you can miss the first one and then catch this one, or you can collect the first one and catch this one as well. So if I was talking to a friend, a neighbor, somebody on the street, maybe somebody across Zoom, if you don't have the PowerPoint skills, if you don't have the documentation, how would you represent this message to someone on Zoom? I use what's called a flip chart. Very, very simple piece of apparatus. If you want to get one, they're not expensive. And if you can write on a piece of paper, this can be illustrated quite easy. And what I do is I go back, it's a bit like Avinash talking about the Amazon stock way back in 1994. Well, way back in January 2021, there was an opportunity, an opportunity called Daisy. And in its very early days of adoption, it generated in contributions in around $20 million in the first few opening hours, maybe the first day. In the first 3 to 5 days, the total contributions was 50 million, but in that first day, that first get-go day, there was approximately $20 million of crowdfunding contributions put towards the Daisy crowd. Now, we know the 2 pacesetter bonuses. We've got the gold pacesetter bonus, and we've got the leadership pacesetter bonus. I've just spoken about those in slide presentation. But what about the people that want to learn how to scribble? How do you explain it? Well, it's very, very simple. We know that 1.8% of the total contributions are assigned to the gold pacer. And we also know that 1.8% of the total contributions
are assigned to the leadership pay setter. If you do the maths, 1.8% of the total revenue in that period of time, it was $360,000. So that means the pool contributions, the pool rewards is $360,000 in each of the two pools. Now this decision lies with you. Which of the two pools, or maybe both of the two pools, would you like to benefit from? You see, that's not Dr. Anna Becker's decision. That's not Jeremy Romo's decision. That's not Ilya's decision. It's your decision. Which or both of these two would you like to enjoy the benefit from? Let's calculate the benefit. We know that there's approximately 120 pay setters in the whole world, okay? So it's for high achievers. And you could be a high achiever. But in the first day, there wasn't 120. There was in or around 80 people that qualified pay setter. We know that there was about 6 people did the leadership side. So let's work out the maths. Let's see, is the effort worth the reward? What effort will you put in these coming days before we launch? Let's check the effort. 80 into $360,000, because that's what's available, paid the gold pay setters in or around $4,500 in day one. Not a bad payday. Not a bad payday. But I want you to understand, even though it occurred in one day, it wasn't achieved. It took maybe a whole week of people's effort to put the business in place. Because we know we need 24 directs and $128,000 of contribution. That's the effort. The reward was $4,500 in day one. Now, of course, an additional 30 million came in contributions. So you can imagine what the pay setters were getting on every single contribution. Just think about that. And for the life of Daisy, there's the expression, imagine every contribution worldwide hits your wallet. It hits your wallet. Why? Because you rolled up your sleeves, because you set the family aside part-time to apply your efforts, your greatest effort to achieve this bonus. And you got the prize. That's the prize, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what about this side of the equation? The leadership bonus. Well, there was only about 6 people did it. That tells you how special these people are. 6 into 360 give these guys a reward of somewhere in or around $60,000 in day one. $60,000. Why? Because there's less people going to do this that are going to do that. Because the effort is this. It's not about your personal effort anymore. It's about your leadership. It's about your mindset. It's about who can you help. If you can help enough people achieve what they want, of course you're going to get what you want. So if you want to get into the leadership bonus, all you need to do is find 3 people that are willing to go to work and do that. You help 3 people do this, you get that reward. Now, if that's not enough, and that's plenty, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about one last thing. The other part of the qualification gives you a share in 1.25% of the withdrawals. 1.25% of the withdrawals. Well, we know if 20 million comes in, can you imagine what Dr. Anna Becker is going to do with that? Can you imagine how she's going to improve that? She's going to turn that 20,000 to 40,000, maybe 20 million to 40 million, 40 million to 80 million. If the technology, if the AI, if the robots and the machines could do their job on the markets, well, the 1.25% is going to be a much bigger reward than the 1.8%, because this number is going to be much, much bigger on the exit. Because as people withdraw their profits, you also share in 1.25%. And if that's not enough, what about a share in an additional 5% of Endotech's equity. That's the proposition. That's the effort. That's the reward. It's up to you. I hope you find that beneficial. I hope you employ it in your strategies in the weeks ahead. I hope you enjoy the benefits from this illustration, and I hope it changes your family's life. Thank you very much.